and then it popped off of my screen. So I can't see me. Are we live? Hey, we are. We're live
Yes,
on
meeting
Facebook.
is, yeah, it says that.
I disappeared for just a second. Then I was like, oh my gosh, you're re live. So
Huh.
welcome everybody. Teri Wellbrock here from the Healing Place podcast. And I'm just so happy to have with me today Diane Petrella, who has been on the show with me before on interviews and done another Facebook Live for the Pandemic Self-Care series, which I'm so grateful for, but call her now a friend. And yes, just thrilled to have her here. Diane is clinical social worker and licensed psychotherapist. And today we're here to talk about trauma-informed intuitive eating, which I'm excited to learn about as well. So welcome, Diane.
Hi, thank you. It's always nice to connect with you and see you like this again. So thank you for having me, Teri.
Oh, absolutely. It's my pleasure. And yeah, so what is intuitive eating? I'm so intrigued by this.
Yeah, well, intuitive eating has been around for a very long time. It would be considered a mind-body self-care eating framework and lifestyle. The term was coined way back in the mid 90s by two dietitians, Elise Resch and Evelyn Tribole. And they actually recently came out with, and I'd suggest people check out this book. Last year, they came out with an, I don't know what number edition of the book that they wrote in the 90s, Intuitive Eating. And so they really have, there's lots of different definitions of intuitive eating. Their 10 principles are what I generally refer people to, and that would be on their site, intuitiveeating.org. I'm glad to direct people there. And then there were 10 principles. So intuitive eating, contrary to what many people may think, or some people may think, it is not about releasing or losing weight. It's more anti-diet. It's about developing, making peace with food, your body, um, connecting with your intuition, your body wisdom, to be better able to let your inner guidance in your body guide you versus having a rigid structure of a diet plan. So
Yeah.
even though some people connect with intuitive eating because they may want to lose weight, that's really not what the ultimate goal is, although that can happen.
Yeah. Well, the flip side of that coin then is emotional eating, which I
Exactly.
know during the pandemic I was doing. I gained 29 pounds.
Yeah.
I've since made some adjustments and really I realized what was happening with me. But yes, I was opening those cupboard doors and fridge and saying, "Ooh, let's go get a donut." And it was emotional eating.
Yeah. Well, for many people, food is kind of like a go-to, drug of choice. Perhaps you could use that
Yeah.
term. I know there's mixed feelings as to whether or not using food is an addiction or compulsive behavior. But as I say, semantics aside, people know if you're using food to comfort yourself, to soothe yourself, there's a way, you're using it not only to gain satisfaction and pleasure from food, as it's important that obviously that we all do, but it's used to numb your feelings, um, cope, dealing with stress, and especially when you have a history of trauma and you're feeling anxiety or you're numbed out, or because the body gets so easily dysregulated under even sometimes minor stress, and food is so readily available, right?
Right.
And that's often one of the things, and sometimes for some people, the only thing that they use or that they know how to use to help comfort and soothe themselves. And one of the principles of intuitive eating, the ones that there are 10 of them, and one is feel your fullness, another is challenge the food police. There are no good or bad foods, and I like that. And you're not good or bad depending on what you eat or how much you eat, and really to take the judgment out of it is so important. Couple of the tenets or principles that I feel need a little extra fine tuning when it comes to people with a trauma history is to be kind to your feelings, which obviously is an important thing to strive for and can be really difficult for people with a trauma history because they're not just feeling their feelings in real time today. Their feelings are also coming from the past, so they can feel bigger than
Right.
they need to be and out of proportion. and more overwhelming, stressful to deal with. So there's that part. And another principle of intuitive eating is around developing, listening to your body, not just your hunger and fullness sensations, but to connect with your body and hear what it needs, whether it's for movement, for rest, for a certain kind of food. And one of the challenges for people who have experienced trauma is connecting with their body in that way and developing what's called, or noticing, their interoceptive awareness, which is just basically noticing and connecting with those inner sensations, gut feeling, um, just physical sensations in the body, and intuitive hits as well. And when somebody has experienced trauma, connecting with their body and feeling those sensations isn't always easy to do, because it's sometimes hard to sit with those sensations if they're sensations of chronic and pervasive underlying anxiety or underlying panic that sometimes can just be so natural to somebody, and they haven't yet discovered the contrast between panic and calm. So just connecting with the body can feel um, just difficult to do.
I am so glad you brought that up.
Um,
I've talked about it before on the show, but I know in a kind of a different light, but just to clarify it, when I was first being told, when I stepped onto the healing path in 2013, I was having horrific panic attacks for 25 years. And I was being told a lot, let's work on breath work. Let's breathe. Let's breathe. But I found when I would focus on breathing, it brought attention to the fact that I was inside my body, and being inside my body was a terrifying place to be because it was filled with so much panic and anxiety and just overwhelm. And I hadn't yet processed all of that trauma.
mhm,
So breath work was hard for me at the beginning. And it
mhm.
wasn't until I put in place other modalities. But yes, I totally relate to what you're saying in that sometimes just sitting with those feelings can be very scary for trauma
Yeah.
survivors.
So that being one of the principles of intuitive eating, to notice your body, feels really inaccessible. It's hard to do when you're in what I know, what would be called a, hyper arousal. And it's about learning strategies to
Yes.
activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is about calming and settling down the body. And you mentioned breath work, and I'm curious just to ask you, a really powerful tool is diaphragmatic breathing. And there are lots of great breathing exercises, which, I teach clients, I use myself. I imagine you were taught too. And they all can be great, but they're not going to be as effective if unless you're breathing diaphragmatically. So I'm curious, when you said the breath work wasn't as helpful for you, how was diaphragmatic breathing if you had learned that?
Yes. Well, and I do utilize breath work now because I was able to get to a point where I could be comfortable in my body. So I do utilize it. I use it often. I used it last night. I was like,
Yeah.
I just need to do some breath work. But I do, and I did learn the difference between like chest breathing
Yeah.
and then using. And so now my one of my favorites really is I had learned like four square, which was 4 seconds in, hold for four, four out, hold for four. I had utilized a rolling breath, but I love like pushing my belly out as I
Yeah.
get a breath in and really pulling it down in the breath in. So yes, I do utilize that. And it is my favorite go-to.
Yeah. And once you learn, I don't know if it might be helpful. I can walk people through
Sure.
that. One way
Yeah.
to check how you're breathing. Well, the reason why diaphragmatic breathe, the diaphragm is a large muscle below the rib cage. And like a bellows, as you breathe in, ideally you're breathing in the air and the bellows expands. And as you're exhaling, the bellow contracts. If you see babies in a crib and they're breathing, their little bellies are moving up and down.
Yeah.
Sadly, after being in life a while and stress, they may stop doing that because all of us are born breathing that way. But then what happens through this, the natural stress and strain of life anyway, but then especially if somebody is living in a highly stressful, dysfunctional, or traumatic or abusive childhood, generally they may stop breathing that way. So they're taking shorter, shallower breaths, and you're not getting the full oxygenation of the breath, the full benefit of the breath that you would get with diaphragmatic breathing. And I know when I first learned this years ago now, it was hard to figure out what I was doing. And then one day it just clicked. And I generally breathe that way all the time, but I'll notice if I'm not, I know how to get back into it. But I didn't know the difference. I didn't know there was a difference. So one way to figure out how you're breathing is to put your hand on the upper part of your chest and then a hand by your abdomen. I ask people to sort of sit straight and just breathe naturally. And then notice which hand is breathing. Now, some people
Oh,
notice very much so that their upper hand is moving. Other people notice their belly is moving. Mostly you'll notice that both are moving, but the belly is moving first, and then you'll feel your other hand going up a little bit. So that kind of can help you see how you're breathing. Just breathe naturally and notice what happens. So to breathe diaphragmatically, it can take practice. And you just sort of exaggerate. When I teach it to clients in my office, I'll exaggerate it a little bit. I know you can't really see it right now, but
yeah.
I'll just say, like a bellows, breathe in and push your belly out. So it's also called belly breathing or abdominal breathing. And then your chest will expand from also up to the upper chest, but just practice like that. Or you could lie down and put like a piece of paper or something light on your stomach and watch it that way too. And I say, just keep practicing it. After a while, it will just kick in, and then you'll notice the difference.
Beautiful. That's
So,
fabulous. And I love it. And I was so just thrilled to find out as I took that first breath, I felt my belly instantly go out and I was like, all right.
yeah, it's such a simple yet really super powerful thing, because it and there's enough research that shows that it calms the body, calms the nervous system, activates the parasympathetic nervous system, um, and just helps produce relaxation. Now, if on a scale of 1 to 10, somebody's highly anxious, say someone's feeling highly anxious or panicked, and they're ready to turn to food to soothe or comfort themselves, and they're already on a scale of 1 to 10 at a 8, 9, or a 10, it might take the edge off, but it may not necessarily bring you back down to a 2 or 3. And that's okay. It's just about using it and practicing it. Ideally, when you first start noticing a sign of stress, say when you're in the 6 or 7 zone, start using it just to calm your body. And then whatever stressful situation you may be dealing with, you'll be a little more mindful about how to approach it. And when it comes to emotional eating, using diaphragmatic breathing, like press the pause button. And I know that's also not always easy to do. It's an impulsive reaction.
Yeah.
And mostly I say to people, whatever you do, it's okay. If you overate because you were stressed, really one of the main ways of in my opinion, one of the main ways of overcoming overeating isn't to not overeat. It's to treat yourself with kindness and gentleness when you do overeat. Because when you beat yourself up, you are just perpetuating that self-blame and self-criticizing pattern, which also may be rooted in feelings people are still holding from childhood. If there's self-blame and self-loathing and shame and guilt from childhood
Yeah.
experiences.
Shoot, that spoke to me on a soul level. I got a little choked up for just a second because it's so true that that beating up that happens
Right.
almost yeah, just habitually because it was so ingrained. Yeah. Beautiful.
So,
So I love one of the things that you talk about is trauma sensitive and trauma informed. Now, some people may not understand. I love it that you say trauma sensitive. I just think
yeah.
that's beautiful because so talk a little bit about what that means.
Well, it's about understanding, in terms of intuitive eating, for example, that one of the principles being be kind to your feelings. That's easier for some people to do than others. If you were a childhood, a survivor of childhood trauma, it's harder to do that because most likely the child inside of you, the child that you were, and perhaps now the adult that you are, has a hard time being kind to their feelings because possibly that was never modeled in the family growing up, to notice what someone was feeling, to name what someone was feeling, to be kind to those feelings. Maybe a lot of people heard, stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about,
Yes.
or not notice tears and sadness on a child's face because of, parents' own deficits and their perhaps trauma histories. So what's trauma sensitive about what I'm teaching my clients regarding intuitive eating is really understanding that, okay, it may be hard to just be told, well, be kind to your feelings instead of turning to food. And not that I'm suggesting people do it that simplistically either. But sometimes that's how it comes across. It's hard to be kind to feelings that are rooted in trauma unless you've been taught, and a lot of people weren't taught how to be kind to their feelings. So it's practice. It's learning new self-talk strategies. It's writing down ahead of time to prepare, for example, things you could say to yourself. Have a list of things you could say to yourself, or what I often suggest to people. Write down a list of things you could say to yourself as if you're your wise self and she's talking to you. Like, it's okay. Overeating isn't a sin. You're doing the best you can. Everything's all right. Or imagine you're your best friend talking
Yeah.
to you that way. So writing it down ahead of time and then doing the best you can to go to that piece of paper, wherever it would be, to take a pause, do diaphragmatic breathing, and then read that will better help somebody remind themselves of what they can say. Because it's hard to do that when you're in the middle of a panic, or if you're feeling highly depressed. It's not always panic eating. It's sadness or loneliness and other feelings that may not produce hyper arousal sensations in the body, but more numbing sensations. So if you have something to read, it can make it a little easier to give yourself the positive, loving self-talk and kindness to your feelings. It might be hard to do if you didn't have some preparation ahead of time.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love it. Again, spoke to my soul. And I know you just said something to read. I had signed up on your website. I had gotten on it to do some prep work before we went live today. And I said, oh my gosh, she has this the free gift and sign up. And it was 5 trauma sensitive tips to move from emotional eating to intuitive eating. So I signed up and I thought it was awesome because I received an email from you almost instantaneously. And you had a
Oh, that's
heart at the
good. That
bottom.
worked.
Yeah, it worked great. But it had a heart at the bottom, which, I collect hearts and I love hearts.
Oh,
And
I forgot.
inside of
That's
it,
right. Those are the 5 promises to my body.
yes. And so listening to you talk just now made me think of all of, so we were talking about kindness and our self-talk and it was just so beautiful. Like, well, one, it touched my heart when I saw that. And
Oh,
I
good.
love those suggestions. So yeah, but so folks that are listening, certainly go visit Diane's website and please let people know how they can connect with you and touch base with you.
By going to my website, yeah, dianepetrella.com.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you have a Facebook page as well. That's
Oh,
got a
yes.
great
Yep. I have
following.
a Facebook page. People can follow Diane Petrella. I think there's an MSW at the end of that page. I'm not sure. And
Yeah.
I post more mind, body, spirit approaches to self-growth, healing, intuitive eating, emotional eating. My approach is very holistic, mind, body, and spirit. And especially connecting, as I've said, one of the things I do with all my clients, most of my clients anyway, is help them connect with a visualization process with their wise self, their highest and best part of themselves. Oh, one thing I'd like to add in terms of another, it just dawned on me, so I'd like to get to it in terms of
Sure,
intuitive
sure.
eating for people who've experienced trauma and the difficulty they have connecting with their bodies. That's okay. Number one, learning to diaphragmatic breathing and calming the breath, calming your body that way is one thing to do. And also just speaking to your body. You don't have to tune into it in a way that feels anxiety provoking, to either close your eyes or gaze downward and just imagine that you're connecting with your body. And what I suggest to my clients daily, possibly, is to ask when you start your day, connect with your body and ask your body, what do you need from me today so that you will feel loved and well cared for? And then just let it go. You don't have to be focused doing a body scan, and that's not, oh, those are great, but sometimes it's hard to do. But connecting with your body is talking to it, because we talk to our bodies all the time. Everything we say, every thought we have, every feeling we have produces on some level, even on a very minute level, but does produce a physiological response and sensation. So we're always talking to our body, whether we're talking to it harshly, like I hate my legs, or feeling grateful and thanking our body for being able to carry the groceries in from the car, which I think is also a really important thing to do for um, helping trauma survivors, especially who have been sexually abused, move from emotional eating to intuitive eating. To For some people, it's really hard to connect with their bodies when they've been sexually abused for reasons that, we could do another podcast on that.
Right, right.
But just being grateful and thankful for what your body helps you to do can be a powerful thing to do. It has nothing to do with, we're not talking about the physical presentation, but the how our bodies help us. As I've said before, we're spiritual beings having a physical experience in this physical container of a body. So asking the body that, and another thing I suggest people do is take your body on a date, go for a walk. And this isn't about having to get exercise in, although, hey, I'm a big, promoter of movement. But say one time a week, go for a walk and talk mindfully, because we're doing it all the time, right? Talk mindfully to your body, even simply saying, this is really good for you. We're going to go on this walk together. What would you like today? What would you like me to give to you today? And just going for a walk. You don't have to say anything more, but imagine it being an experience of connecting with your body in this, in a loving way, as if it's your partner, which it is. I call it our best friend forever. So that's another tip I wanted to get in there.
Yes. And again, I smile the whole time because one, I just love your message with your energy and it's just beautiful. And so thank you for that.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
Yeah. So anything else that you wanted to touch upon that we haven't had an opportunity to discuss?
No, I think those few things I wanted to suggest around connecting with your body in those ways, so it can help bypass some of the more focused way of connecting with your body's inner sensations, which is important to do, and people can get to that. But if it's hard to do that at first, doing some of these other things, asking questions of your body, taking it for a walk, being aware of expressing gratitude for what it does for you, those are some gentle ways to begin to then later better connect with, well, what are the inner sensations telling you? And better noticing when you're full, when you're hungry, when you're tired, when you're thirsty.
Yeah.
Sometimes people with challenges around emotional eating aren't as attuned to their satiety levels that way and other aspects of what their body needs. So
Yeah.
those are some gentle, simple things people can do to start opening up their connection with their body. And that's one aspect of intuitive eating, an important aspect of it. It's not the only part, but it's one part.
Wonderful. Well, you've said the word gentle now a couple of times, and I know I end all of my podcast episodes with be gentle with yourself. And
Oh,
so it's just very, very, yeah. And so how funny. Well, I was going to say something about gentle, but I actually had bought a sticker for my laptop and you had earlier said kindness in it. And I bought a sticker. It called out to me in the store the other day and it said kindness is free. And so really being kind to ourselves, being gentle to ourselves, it's a free, beautiful gift we can give ourselves.
right.
Yeah.
And
Wonderful.
I'll add, and to be kind to yourself when you haven't been kind to yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's okay too. It's bringing kindness, that I beat myself up. Okay, that's all right. At some point, I'll stop doing that. So being kind when you're not kind.
Yeah. Wonderful. All right. Well, it's just always a joy to have you here to share your insights and shine your beautiful light of hope. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you. It's always delightful to connect with you, truly. Thank you very much as well.
Absolutely. So everyone who is listening, if you have any questions that you would like Diane to answer, you can certainly put them in the comments, and the two of us will check back in, and I'll be sure to tag her and everything. I'll put her Facebook link and her website in ways that you can connect with her and get a hold of the free gift that she has available on her website. Yeah, so there you go.
Thank you, Teri.
All right, everyone. Again, as I say on the show, make sure you be be sure to be gentle with yourself. And I can't edit that out. Normally, I can edit that out on the show, but we are live, so
It's beautiful that it can't be edited out, right?
right,
Nothing has to be
exactly,
perfect.
exactly. I know. And I said
I
before we
love
went live,
that.
I said I hope Sammy doesn't come up, and you were like, I hope she does, and I know she hasn't popped up, so.
Oh, yeah. I would have loved to have seen your
I
dog.
know I should like call her, but I don't think she'll. Hey, Sam, our little therapy dog, Sammy. Well, not so little. She's a Labradoodle, but she's snoozing away. I can hear her snoozing. All right. Well, everyone, take care, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Teri.
Thanks, Dan.
Bye.
I got to figure out. Oh, here it is. End.
Not just hit leave.
Yeah, I think I hold on. I'm trying to figure out. Hey, folks, we're still here hanging on. Oh, I got to go up here to end live on Facebook. Stop. All right.
And
Now we're leaving.